the Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.
I really resent y'all bringing me in here after a segment after chicken, by the way. I think that was Brody's idea. All right.
It was. I heard him say it.
I'm not going to bring you in after the quiche conversation. Hey, I read your first book, Charlamagne, and I loved it. It was fantastic.
Thank you.
It really was. It really told me a lot about you and what makes you tick. This is different.
Yes.
You're actually, it's more of that, but in this one, you're actually talking about something that's so important for everyone in Shook One, anxiety.
Yes.
And how rather than letting it hold you down, you can actually use it, harness your anxiety to kind of fuel you to do bigger and better things.
Yes, I use that fear as fuel. I got a homegirl named Kay Fox, and she sent me an acronym once, and it was for fear, and it was either face everything and rise or fear everything and run. So thank God I don't have the type of anxiety that, keeps me stuck in the house all day, because I do have friends who have that type of anxiety that paralyzes them, and they don't want to leave the house at all. And I mean, I would love to stay in the house, but I don't have that luxury.
No, gotta get out, gotta work for the man.
Absolutely, 100%.
I know, but to be fair, you talk in this book about, I think there's some drug-related gun is involved incident.
Yes.
And you talk about being anxious. I'm like, well, I would think there's some situations you could be in that are going to make you anxious whether you have anxiety problems or not.
When I used to sell crack, you know what I'm saying? I would put myself in a lot of situations where I just felt like that natural paranoia, came with the territory. But it's when you're actually doing good in life. The first time I ever got diagnosed with an anxiety attack was like 9 years ago. And this is after I'd been fired from radio for the 4th time. And I was back living with my mom in South Carolina at like 32 years old. And my daughter's 2 years old. And my now wife is back living with her parents in Moncks Corner. And I remember just driving down I-26 in South Carolina and feeling like I was having a heart attack, like shortness of breath, chest tightening up. I even convinced myself that my left arm was going numb, like I was total Fred Sanford. This is the big one. I'm coming to join you, honey. Right? So I go to the hospital, and the doctor's like, nah, your heart is fine. And he was like, do you suffer from anxiety? And I was like, not that I know of. He was like, it sounded like you had a panic attack.
Now, how long ago was that?
This is 9 years ago. And he was like, are you stressed out about anything? And I was like, hell yeah, I'm collecting unemployment checks. It's the 4th time I've been fired. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, all I got to do is get back in position again, get another job, get back on the radio, and I'll be fine, which I eventually did with the Breakfast Club. But, success, money, whatever, all that comes with it doesn't, get rid of your anxiety in no way, shape, or form.
I'm waiting to find out.
No. And anxiety, I feel like, comes in so many forms. Like, I remember laying in my bed and thinking things like, wow, the fan on the ceiling is really loud. I hope it doesn't fly off the ceiling. Yeah.
That's me.
Yes. And I'm like, or I'm getting ready in the morning. Wow, why is the air conditioning so loud? Maybe it's broken. Maybe it's going to blow up. And I'm like saying to myself, this is the dumbest thing ever, but yet.
You invent problems.
Right.
Yes.
You're bringing up a good point, because those who are not living a life experiencing anxiety problems, you don't get it.
No.
And you really, really need to open your mind and understand that mental health, and this is a part of it, we should definitely stop sweeping this under the rug. Now, another point that you make in your book is the black community just isn't really embracing mental health as quickly as you think everyone should be doing so.
Yeah, I think that we never had those conversations growing up. I'm come from a very spiritual background. It's like my mom was Jehovah's Witness and my father studied Islam, so it was like all about praying the problems away. You know what I'm saying? Everything was faith-based. But sometimes you pray and God will tell you, go see a therapist. And like, my mom, she was going to a therapist like in 1998. I never knew that until this year when I started to go over the past year.
Because they hide it. It's like breast cancer. They never used to talk about it.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. So go back to when you were a kid. Do you remember one of the first times you experienced this feeling?
Yes.
You couldn't explain it, and it was actually because of a hurricane or something like that.
Hurricane Hugo hit Charleston, South Carolina, I think in like 88. So I was like 9, 10 years old. And, I think it was the panic of seeing all of these people that I knew to be strong, like my parents and my grandparents and, just the adults in my community. They were bugging out because we grew up in a single wide trailer. So they didn't know if the trailer was going to be there the next day. People didn't know if their houses were going to be there the next day. You heard some people saying they wasn't going to make it through the night. So that was the first time I remember having an actual panic attack. I didn't know what it was back then, but that's the first time I remember having that feeling.
So when did you get the smarts or the courage to actually look for someone to help you? Looking for a great therapist, looking for anyone who could try to help you crack it.
It was early last year. And
so it's been that recent.
Yeah. It was early last year because I remember being on vacation and sitting at the pool, getting a haircut and watching all my family and friends. And I just had this moment of serenity, this moment of peace. And I said, how can I capture this all the time?
Dude, you're getting a haircut at a pool.
Yeah, so I for that small moment, I had a moment of serenity and a moment of peace. I didn't feel any anxiety whatsoever. So I was like, you know what? I want to hold on to this feeling all the time. And I had been flirting with the idea of therapy. I had been, talking to people that were way more successful than me, and they would always say how they went to therapy or I had been to therapy at some point in their life. Right. So I just decided to do it. And it's the best thing I ever did in my life. It's like cleaning out like your closet. You know how you got a real junky closet?
I do.
And you got a bunch of clothes that you got to pack and give away to Goodwill, and you got some stuff that you want to keep, so you organize, and then you can bring new stuff in. That's what I feel like I'm doing in my brain.
Now, so I think it's a really important thing to remember, especially if you have a friend who seems like they're going through some anxiety issues. Doesn't matter how much money you're making, how successful you're making. Mm-hmm. I mean, Charlamagne's talking about a year ago, he went out and found a therapist. He is now at this most incredible, successful part in his career. I mean, just from an outsider looking in. Yeah. I mean, he's been doing the Breakfast Club since 2010 or whatever.
It'll be 8 years this year.
Yeah. And TV shows, and he's got Lamborghinis.
No, I don't. No. That would definitely give me anxiety. Yeah, that's not me.
Yeah, Froggy, I see you. Give me 1 second. He's got security guards downstairs. I can see why you're living a life where maybe you can have some help, But,
yes, it gets very overwhelming.
By the way, thank you for the security guards. We feel extra safe coming to work.
Exactly.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Froggy, what's up?
Charlamagne, were you ever one of those people who things are going really good in your life and you say to yourself, because I do this, things are so good right now, something bad has to be coming around the corner.
100%.
And so you sit around and wait for something bad to happen instead of enjoying the good that's going on in your life.
100%. I never get to enjoy the moment. I actually talk about that in the book because I believe in The Secret. Like, I believe in the law of attraction. I believe that your thoughts become things. I think that the things you want to happen in your life, you should constantly think about. The things that you don't want to happen, you shouldn't think about at all. But it's hard not to think about the negative things. It's hard not to think about what could go wrong. And I feel like when I hold on to those thoughts, that's what causes me to have these panic attacks sometimes, because I just feel like my brain is so powerful that I'm going to manifest this negativity into my life. So that's why it's so important for me to just, flush that type of stuff down the toilet.
Not only is your brain powerful, but also your heart's got to be a little powerful too, to be able to acknowledge that you need to take care of yourself. And taking care of yourself isn't always working out. It's not always eating the right foods.
It's not always getting colonics. I had 3 of them in the past 10 days.
Really?
Yes.
Did you hear what happened? I got a colonic the other day. Yeah. They found a Barbie shoe I ate when I was a kid.
A what?
A Barbie shoe.
Really? I was like, wow.
Wait, can you really get that many in 10 days?
I don't think I was supposed to. Dr. Oz told me I just enjoyed the feeling of having something up my butt. That's what he told me.
I know you keep slipping off the chair.
A little twitchy.
Now, look, by the way, Charlamagne is here. Charlamagne Tha God. His book is called Shook One, Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me. Here's the thing. There are a lot of people out there who are just now getting the courage to find someone outside their circle to help them out, but it costs money sometimes. Some people aren't covered for that kind of thing. What do you do if you can't afford it, but you really need it?
I keep hearing people say that, but for me, I spend $150 for an hour session. I do.
How much?
$150. Now, I've heard people pay as little as $75, $50. You know what I mean? But I feel like, we make time. We can find money for everything else. Like if we want to buy Yeezys, if we want to buy Jordans, if we want to buy Fear of God clothing, if we want to buy alcohol, if we want to buy apes of Kush, we can do a new phone, a new smartphone every freaking 3 months. And we can find money for other things. Right. So why can't we find money to invest in our mental well-being?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a lame excuse, actually.
So you sort of talked about you were going to do a sit down with Kanye West.
Yes.
And then you canceled it.
Yes.
Because obviously there's some stuff going on with him. What was it for you that made you cancel it versus obviously like highlighting his issues with mental health right now?
Well, I just felt like it would be such a distraction. Like, I really want to elevate the conversation of mental health in our community. And if we really trying to eradicate the stigma of mental health in America, and especially in the black community, like, I didn't want anything to distract from that. Right. And then when I heard him in the White House, he said that, he had got misdiagnosed and he didn't really have bipolar. It was sleep deprivation and he's not on his medication. Right, so I just felt like, he got some other things that he need to figure out. And I just feel like it would have just been a circus just to have that. I don't think we would have actually had a really good conversation about mental health. It would have turned into a whole bunch of other stuff about political views and whatnot, and I didn't feel like all of that.
No. See, this is another thing that's so fantastic about Charlamagne is once he has his eye on the goal line, he runs for it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want any distractions.
100%.
And you know what? I want to get into what we brought up at the very beginning of this. Rather than letting anxiety bring us down, you're saying that there's a way you can actually use it to your advantage and use anxiety as a fire to fuel you to get you where you need to go.
Yeah.
As propulsion into outer space or whatever. How do you do that? Because I've never heard about
I just feel like
it through it this way.
I just feel like you got to use that fear as fuel. You know, it goes back to the acronym I said. You either face everything and rise or fear everything and run. Listen.
How do you do it?
You just got to get up and go do it. Like, you have no choice. Like, you know, I think about, like, when my father used to tell me that if I don't change my lifestyle, I'm going to end up in jail, dead, or broke sitting under a tree somewhere. Those three options scared the hell out of me. Scared me so much that I decided to get my life together.
Right.
Scared me so much that I said, you know what? In order to change my life, I have to change my lifestyle. Because those three options scared me more than anything else. So it's like, I'd rather just get up and attempt to do something. Listen, if I could stay in the house all day and keep my wife in the house all day and keep my 3 daughters in the house all day, I absolutely would. But that's not the way life works.
I got a text from you the other day. You said, hey, can't wait to see what you think about the book. This conversation about mental health needs to be elevated, especially in the black community. And then you said, that's why I love how vocal your girl Gaga is about mental health.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I mean, I just like people who speak about it openly. That's why I wanted to sit down and have the conversation with Kanye, you know, because Kanye is somebody who openly spoke about his bipolar. And it's the same thing with, you know, Lady Gaga. She's open about her mental health issues. Like, yo, this is nothing to be afraid of.
No.
This is nothing to be ashamed about.
If you have a broken arm, you talk about it. You
Listen,
get it fixed. It's the same thing.
Think about the way America is with physical health. We work out, we eat right, everything's gluten-free. We don't even think about that when it comes to our minds at all. We got to worry about what we put in our minds, especially in this social media era, man. You got social media painting this unattainable picture of perfection.
And I read what they say to you.
Oh.
But I read what you say back. Oh, my
and
gosh.
now therapists are saying that kids are suffering from anxiety more than ever because of the way the world is.
Because of social media.
Yep.
By the way, Gaga's mom's going to be here in 1 hour. We're
Really?
gonna continue the conversation. Absolutely.
Wow.
Look, you got to go. They're pulling you out of here.
Yes, because I do a morning show as well. I hate that too.
What? You know what? You the book is much more important than doing anything else. Your time with me is much more important.
I agree. I mean, I got a couple more minutes.
No, everyone's like sweating. Everyone's like crapping their pants over. Look, it's called Shook One. Anxiety playing tricks on me. I'm telling you, I've always been and will continue to be your number one fan. I love
you, Godfather.
And what you're doing with this book is more important than anyone gets right
And
now.
I really want to stress that I'm not an expert at anything. I just have some experiences. So I'm sharing my experiences. So I'm sharing my experiences with anxiety and PTSD and trauma based off things that happened to me when I was younger. And I actually have an actual expert in the book. His name is Dr. Ish Major. He's a mental health therapist, and he gives clinical correlations to all the experiences that I explain in my books. When I talk about having an anxiety attack while I was high off sativa, you know, performing oral sex on my wife, he can give a great clinical correlation as to why I had that.
That was one of my favorite reads, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm a gay guy reading. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's like water guns and all sorts of things. I'm like, I gotta get out of here.
But it's available right now.
What, your wife?
No.
Oh my God. No.
We can trade.
No,
you give me Alex, I'll give you my wife.
You can have Alex. Right. He broke his vocal cord. Don't ask how.
Whoa, Godfather.
Here it is. Shook One.
Yes.
Charlamagne Tha God. It's available right now here in the Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.
Thank you, sir.
Mercedes.
Thank y'all. Thank you.